Welcome to Middle Fingers Up, the show where we hold our heads high and our middle fingers higher. I'm your host, Kieran McKay. Okay, everyone. Today we have a very special episode of Middle Fingers Up. Today we are joined by someone incredibly close to my heart. I had written here 10-year-old son, but in the last couple of days he's actually turned 11. So my 11-year-old son. Together, we're here. Together we're here talking about what it's like to grow up biracial and how he's beginning to notice and experience racism. This episode is for anyone who wants to learn how to navigate these difficult but important conversations with their kids, especially parents raising children in multicultural or multiracial families. I also didn't add, this is actually one of our Shup segments, and I'm curious to see if we'll actually do it in the short stint that we are meant to do it in. Like I said, our topic is racism, and racism is something that we feel we have to address at home, not just when incidents happen. So as, like an ongoing part of our relationship with our family members, with our kids, it's about giving these conversations time, space, and thoughtfulness. And both and I want to talk about racism. In particular, we want to say today, it's not something that we solve in a single discussion or action. It is a process, and we understand that. When we take the time to talk it out, involve our kids in deciding how to proceed, and prioritize their feelings over this urgency of others, we can address these moments with care and intention. And that's really what our hope is in our household. So today, my son will share a couple of stories, incidents that he's experienced, and we're going to just chat about what life in his world has been like experiencing racism, and what are some things as parents and community members we can do with our next generations who are growing up being fed the same old stuff that we grow up being fed. History repeats itself, right? All right, without further ado, let's welcome Mr. McKay.
Hello, everyone.
Thanks for being here.
You're welcome.
Okay, so everything I said, does it make sense to you?
Yes.
Okay, are you good to go?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I was thinking, first of all, what we could start with is maybe you can share one of the times you felt where someone treated you unfairly or differently, and it made you feel uncomfortable. So do you have any stories or an incident in particular that comes up for you that you wanna share?
Like someone treated me differently because of my color?
Yeah. Okay. So here's what I'm saying. It's stories where you've been involved in racism, where it's about your community, and it's made you feel uncomfortable with other kids.
I guess during hockey, some kids, there was this new thing trending on social media, where it was this guy cooking some butter chicken in his college class, and then he does this thing, and now a bunch of people will do it, and they'll add the Indian accent, and it makes me feel uncomfortable, in hockey and on the bus, in the dressing room in hockey, and when I'm on the bus. And it's also the people who kind of try to be rude to me.
Can I ask you, when you share this, what are the uncomfortable feelings that you're feeling when they do this, when they're making fun of, what you're saying is they're making fun of Punjabi people?
And Indian people.
Right. And so when they do that, what is it about what them doing that makes you feel uncomfortable, not okay?
It's just because I want to say something, but I just don't. In the moment, I don't say anything, but after I really want to say something.
Yeah. You know what? I want to, if I can add something, I want to tell you that I understand what you mean. As a grown woman, there are times with adults where I hear racist jokes or racist comments, and then you're right, it's not always towards me, but it's in general, which it doesn't have to be something directly, hey, Kieran, you're this. People can be making fun of Punjabi people, and that's still impacting me. And sometimes it's hard to say something. Why? What do you think gets in the way of some of us saying something?
I think it's just in the moment that you want to say something, but you might think it's wrong, and you think they'll like think that you're wrong.
Yeah.
Something like that.
You're so bang on, buddy. Like, you're 11 years old and you're feeling these things. As grown-ups, we agree. We feel that too, that sometimes when people are racist, they make it like you're doing something wrong, or they make it like you're the one that's going to get in trouble because everybody's going to get mad at you for saying something.
Exactly.
Yeah. Why do you think people do that?
Because they think they know about racism, but like they don't know the most, and they think like that they're right all the time.
What does racism mean to you? How would you describe it to someone?
Just like being disrespectful to someone of color and just disrespecting their culture.
So many things that we have to learn about that. So that's a interesting, good definition of what you think of racism is. So when this incident happened, what happened? Like, what did you do after that?
I just like got mad and I didn't really know what to do. So then like I got home and I told you and stuff.
Yeah, I'm really glad you did tell us. I think that's really important. I think sometimes when even grown-ups experience racism, they don't have a place to go and someone to talk to, because a lot of times people don't understand and they'll say things like, oh, that's not really what happened, or don't worry about it, let it go. But it's still upsetting because someone made fun of your culture.
Yes. It's like, just like, no matter what, you still like can't do it because it might be judging, like it might be racist and you might not know, but like it could be. So you just gotta think before you speak.
Great advice. I love it. Do you have another incident you talked about earlier you wanted to share? I want to make sure I give you time and space for that.
I got two, but I'll start with the first one. Okay. So in my school, there's a school next to us that has this park kind of in like closer to their school that apparently our school helped fund. Okay. So they let us use it sometimes, you know, like.
Yeah, that's fine.
We were on the park just talking and stuff, I guess. We were like at the top where the slides are, and then out of nowhere, like, not really out of nowhere, like he just kind of, it's hard to say. He just called me a monkey. And I got like really mad at him. And he didn't know. He's like, oh, I'm sorry. And I'm like, yes, still, you can't say that. So, yeah, I got mad at him. And just, I didn't know what to do. So I went to tell the principal, of course. And then I don't really know what his punishment was. He had to write me an apology note. And yeah, and that's one of the incidents. Yeah. Any more questions?
Yeah, I'm listening. I'm really sorry that happened to you when you recalled that. I think you did the right thing by sharing that with an adult. And I, hope, like, do you feel it was handled well? Is there something you wish they did instead? Or?
I wish they, like, took it more seriously, because I feel like they didn't give him a good punishment. Like, if I happened and I was the principal, I would probably like suspend him. Yeah.
I think sometimes schools do that, right? They suspend and they do those things. And I know sometimes those lessons help, but I don't know with racism. I wonder, there was another incident you had where you kind of get to be part of a group, right?
Yes.
So let's talk about that one, because I feel like that we can maybe share a little bit more about what we're doing with that.
Okay.
I'm really sorry. I do have to add, like, you're 11 and this is like already 3 incidents off the top of your head. The fact that you're experiencing this, first of all, is one thing. And I'm really sorry, but I definitely have to add, though, the fact that at your age, you recognize that this is what racism is very, very, like, that's huge. And I'm very proud of you. I hope you're proud of that too.
Because, like, also one day I remember you said that, like, people would just say stuff and you thought it was true and you didn't really know that it was racist.
Yeah, very much.
And then, can I say
the other story? Yeah.
Nana's name?
Yeah, sure. You can talk about Nana.
So, yeah, like, our grandpa, or your dad, Nana, his name is not his name. It's just what we call him.
Yeah.
I think one day he was walking home from school, and he was walking with someone, and someone like drove by and said like, "Oh, look at him with his little pet elephant," or something like that, and he didn't know what it meant.
Yeah. Sometimes people say things that some of us from different cultures don't actually understand, that they're making fun of us, or they're making fun of something that is different about us. That's not like, white people and what all white people, may grow up thinking and being taught in school and all those things. And so I think it's hard sometimes because like Nana grew up thinking a lot of that stuff was true because she was told that's the way it was. And like you said, that was like the way for me too. And so it's nice to see a change in your generation where you're starting to question, hey, hang on, this isn't cool. This isn't right. Yeah. Did you have another story you wanted to share?
Yes. So I have like this lunch group, like all my friends. We sit by, and my one really good friend, the other guy I mentioned that was like called me a monkey. He like his best friend left the school, and then he started like talking with my other friend, and then they kind of became friends. And then while I was just sitting eating, he just randomly out of nowhere just said Indian food is dirt. For no reason. Like, just said that. And I'm like, what? Like, what do you mean? And he's like, it is. I'm like, no, it's not. He's like, yeah, it is. Again, he was arguing with me like he was right.
Yeah. It makes you get confused a little bit.
And it made me angry because also someone else at the table, he was also Indian, and he said, and he agreed. So it just made me really angry,
Yeah. Oh man, I have to say, like when you told me about that story, I connected with that too, is sometimes when you are of color and you share racist experiences with other people of color, sometimes they don't see racism either. Like when a lot of my life I had a lot of internal racism we've talked about. So a lot of things I thought inside that you mentioned, Mom, you thought were true but weren't. And so sometimes people of color will agree with these things. And that's the part that breaks my heart the most, is that we start believing and agreeing that our own food, in this example, is dirt.
Yeah, and then after that, I think Nani came over one day, and then she made us something, and then like some Indian food. And then I wanted to take it to school after that, just to see if you'd do it again,
I was very proud of the fact that you wanted to go back and actually wanted to bring Indian food to school because like you and I, what did I tell you about my experience growing up? Would I ever done that?
No, you said that you like would never do that.
Yeah, I would have hid that. I would have been like, oh my God, I don't ever want to be treated that way again. And you're challenging it, saying if I don't bring it, then it means it's right. It's wrong, right? Like that. Then Then I'm agreeing with you almost.
Yeah. I really embrace that I'm Punjabi. Like, I tell everyone so they know, like, I really embrace it. And then after that incident, I think I told the vice principal. And she said, like, I don't know, it was like a few months ago maybe. Or like a month ago. She said that she would start, like, an anti-racism group. She texted you. And just today, she said that at lunch, that I think it's gonna start like at lunchtime.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, tomorrow.
That's really interesting. So you'll get to be part of a group where there's more work paying attention at your school towards the racism.
Yeah, or I think it's on Tuesday actually.
So how do you talked about 3 different things, and they've all been dealt with in different ways. Some things by adults at school, some things you get to be part of and campaign anti-racial, and then the hockey one, we haven't quite addressed it yet. We've addressed it in our home, but we haven't done it at hockey yet.
Also, I don't think he does it anymore. The guy who did it, he doesn't really do it anymore. And also, I think he might be like Indian too, maybe.
Yeah, that's rough, eh? It's rough when you have, again, like we said, people from our own community and we treat ourselves poorly and we think bad of ourselves, and it doesn't help, does it?
It doesn't help.
So should we talk a little bit about how like parents can help their kids like you that maybe are mixed race, or parents of kids like white kids growing up, or parents of kids in general, and help teach their kids about what racism is and how to be more inclusive. Like, should we chat a little bit about that?
Yes, I think I have the perfect example.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so in my school, another one of my friends, he does that thing I was talking about earlier on social media, except he doesn't use the Indian accent. He just does it in a high-pitched voice.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, hey, bro, can you stop? I don't really like that. And he's like, yeah, I know, but it's not in the Indian accent. I'm like, yeah, I still know, but I don't like it. So then also, and he thinks like his dad, he always talks about his dad, like, that's right about everything. He's like, my dad says that you can be racist to white people. And that is kind of true, but not a lot true.
Oh, interesting. Like, what part of it do you think is true, and what part of it do you think is not true?
Like, if you, like, start, like, being, like, really rude to white people, like, about their skin color and stuff, that is sort of racist, but still, they kind of invented the problem.
Yeah. Man, you are very, like, sometimes I learn a lot from you. That's a very interesting way of, like, good way of looking at it. So what I hear you saying is, no one, doesn't matter what culture you're from, should we be treating other people bad because of their skin color or how they look, or boy, girl, transgender, whatever you are. We don't need to be making comments and treating people poorly because of that. So that's the part where you kind of agree with where that is. But then at the same time, you're saying racism came from white people.
Yes.
Yeah. And that is very interesting. At the end of the day, what I hear you also saying is you are being very curious and learning about your history and where you come from.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is wise. And sometimes people around you, maybe even your mom, people around you might tell you something and how they understand it. And it's still important for you to go and do your research and learn more about that. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm learning my story in the way I am, but I also want you to learn your history and your story in the way you can too. You know?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go back to some points for parents and listeners. So one of the things we said at the beginning was these conversations are really important to start at home.
Mm-hmm.
And not only when incidents happen, like as families, it'd be really good if we're bringing books home from different racial backgrounds. If we're watching movies from different cultural backgrounds, we're trying different foods.
Yeah.
Being open to the fact that things are different from the way we do things in our home than other cultures.
Yeah.
Right? Well, would you add anything else in another thing we could do when we start at home when we're addressing racism?
Just like tell your parents. Like after you like maybe tell your parents, you could like tell like someone there. Like if it happened at school, you could tell the principal. If it happened at like I don't know daycare, you could tell one of the teachers, I guess.
Yeah.
Like supervisors.
Like tell someone, right?
Yes, tell an adult.
Yes, and I think that's really important. And adults, if you're listening, I think it's so important when kids are brave and they come to us and they share these really scary or sad or things that don't make sense with us. And sometimes as adults, we don't want our kids to be upset and we brush it away and we are like, it's okay, you'll be fine, let's get on with the day. And that brings us to our next point, where these conversations like racism, we have to give it time. So when our child or kids around us want to have these conversations, we have to really make sure that maybe right away isn't the right time, but we have to give it time as soon as possible and actually have these conversations so we can listen to each other and what maybe your questions are, or what the story you want to share.
Yeah.
I also want to add, with giving it time, something else is like sometimes we rush to address racism because we feel outside pressures can do more harm than good. And that sometimes ends up feeling like it's urgent, like, because someone else wants, the school wants to address it or someone else wants to deal with it right away. And I think we have to understand that it's not a task that you have one conversation and that's it, or you go to one restaurant or read a book and now you're not racist. It's an ongoing conversation we all have to be having. Yes.
Yes, like that. The thing is with my school, the principal and stuff, they kind of just like brush it away quickly. Like you said, they're like, okay, yeah, we'll make sure that it doesn't happen again. And it happens and stuff. And they're like, don't worry, we'll will help you. And then but this time they actually didn't really go away. They said that they would make the group and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I'm happy to hear that you felt like it didn't just get brushed away.
Yes.
I think that's a very important message because it happens a lot. We do that and then we don't come back to it. And sometimes as adults, we don't come back to it because adults don't feel comfortable either talking about it. And I think it's important that in our house, sometimes we don't have the best kind of a conversation about it, but we always figure out how to come back to it and figure it out.
Yes.
So we're not all good at it. We're not really good at always talking about racism too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of suck at it sometimes, but we have to figure out how to keep going back and talking about it.
And also, like, can I circle back to the guy that was being racist to me at school?
Yeah, you can circle back.
So, am I allowed to swear on here?
Okay.
Okay, so the guy really is just kind of an, like, a-hole.
Well, okay. You can finish what you're going to say.
Okay. So he really...
I want to let you say what you want to say, but I also don't want to teach you to, like, I still want us to be better and good people, and he is an a-hole and maybe to you and stuff, but we also don't have to advertise it to everyone else as well. But I hear what you're saying.
He, like, my best friend, ever since, like, I'm, like, just saying this, not exaggerating, it's true. Ever since he's been friends with the guy that's, like, I don't like, he's just starting to be, like, really rude and stuff.
Yeah, our friends and people around us can definitely influence us. TV we watch, things we do. And so sometimes you get to see people around you changing. I mean, if you think about it, Mom and Papa used to have friends that had influence with us, and we're not friends with them anymore either. Because sometimes influence isn't good. Sometimes influence is not great. And we've had friends, adult friends, that don't support people of color in the way that we want to make a change. So I hear you. It's sometimes sad to see our friends, or maybe for our friends, sometimes it's sad for them too to see us make changes, you know? So here are some pointers we're giving to parents. One was start at home, have conversations, listen to each other, validate each other, give it time. This isn't a quick conversation. Sometimes we have to pause, come back to it. Sometimes the person we want to talk to isn't ready. So we have to understand that these things can take time. The other thing was that it's not a task, it's a process. So there's no quick solution to these incidents. We're not looking to suspend kids at school. We're not looking to fire people. We don't want to make big rash decisions. We're asking people to stop and understand why are we having this conversation about someone's culture or their color? Why are we being bad about this? And then, we also mentioned urgency. So what is empathy over urgency? If I can just take a minute. So sometimes, like, even if we think of our follow-ups for these incidents, for Carrie, your papa and I, it was really important for us to make sure that you were heard and you were seen. So I know what I wanted to do, which was I wanted to call your school. I wanted to have the courage to go talk to your coach as well. But Papa and I had to stop and we had to say, okay, when this was happening for me as a kid or even as a grown-up, not very many people stopped and asked me, what do you need right now? How can I help you? And Papa and I wanted to make sure that we stopped and we asked you, do you want to address this? How do you want to address this? And I think those are the conversations that we really want to encourage families to be having together instead of just like running to the school or running somewhere. Let's just stop and make sure, what are you taking care of and how can we proceed so that we actually handle these things in a way that we can see change.
It's kind of a lot of information to process.
It is a lot of information to process for people listening. Yeah.
I don't really know how to reply to that.
Yeah. That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so what do you think other parents can learn about what we're talking about today? And how can they help their kids?
Just make sure they, like, I guess maybe if they can or if they want, let their kids maybe listen to this to understand more about, like, what to do and what not to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or just educate them on it, I guess.
Yeah. Can I ask you if there's other kids that are listening, maybe other Punjabi kids, other kids of color that maybe are listening? Like, what is something that you want to say to them, to another kid who might be going through something similar as you have?
Maybe just like, don't hide it. Tell your parents. Just tell the kid to stop and say to them that you don't like it.
Yeah. Good advice. Like, what do you think what is one thing we can all do that can make things better for kids experiencing racism?
Just be inclusive, address the situation, or just don't hang out with that person. Or don't talk to them and stuff.
Yeah. Good for you. Is there anything that you wish we had talked about in terms of, being a mixed race kid, talking about racism? Is there something that you wish we did say that we didn't today?
I got one thing to say. My best friend said they would watch this, or listen to this, so I just want to say hi to them.
Give them a shout out?
Yeah. I can't say their name, so hello, best friends. I have fun playing Minecraft with you. The arena's amazing. Yeah.
Well, you guys did build a really cool arena in Minecraft.
A hockey arena, yeah.
Super impressed. So before we go, we do something called a call to action. So what is one thing that if only one thing your friends were listening today or other people listening and they'd only took one piece of advice from what you said today, what would you hope that would be?
Don't be racist.
Okay. Now, another question I want to ask you, I always ask guests when they come on, adults, if they could go back in time, like what age would they pick and what age would they want to go back and have a conversation with? But I want to ask you, if you were going to go into the future, what age do you hope to get to know really well about yourself? Like, what age are you looking forward to?
Like, maybe like age 27.
Ooh, why age 27?
Yeah, first of all, it's my favorite number. And second of all, I think I'll be pretty mature by then and understand stuff and have a few incidents that maybe had happened. Hopefully not.
Incidents like what?
Like racism incidents,
Yeah. Okay. So this was an episode of Gup Shup. Gup Shup is meant for us to come together, have quality conversations, spend some time together, short little conversations that can maybe leave everyone listening with a tool or something to take and try. Let us know what you think of this Gup Shup. As we say with all of our episodes, these conversations are door openers, and we're really hoping to add on, have more conversations. So if you talk to your kids or you're an educator and you want to know more, if you're someone that wants to get involved in this conversation, please reach out to us, and I would be happy to come back, answer questions, or invite others on to have this kind of a talk, hey?
Yes.
Now, I know this is a Gup Shup, but because you're on here, I will let you do this segment. What is something you want to put your middle fingers up to today?
Yes. I was hoping you'd say that.
Oh, I'm glad I did too then.
Maybe, to be honest, the people on the bus that are always racist and stuff, them.
Middle fingers up to them.
Yes.
Yeah. Fuck that shit, right?
Oh my God.
You were waiting for me to say it. I do want to tell you, man, I'm very proud in how you handle yourself every time. You are someone that stands up, even when you're standing up alone, and that is not easy to do. And you've done it every single time a kid has approached you about your Punjabi heritage. And I know you very much so embrace the Punjabi heritage. It's very clear. You're very proud to be a Punjabi boy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Also, one more thing. On the bus, I have 3 friends that always sit by me and stuff, and they'll watch me play on my phone and stuff. Sometimes when it's only me and one person, the people in the back that I mentioned that were being racist are always trying to bug us. Mm-hmm. And he says to me just to ignore them, so they just don't. So they don't let them get a reaction of you.
Is he a friend of color too?
Yes.
Yeah, good for him. That's a nice pact to have together of how can we not give those kids power. It's hard, but good for you to not give them power. Any other brown mentors, role models that you want to give a shout out to today that you look up to or love? I don't know if you're wearing a shirt, so I thought maybe you wanted to give someone.
Oh wait.
Yeah.
Maybe I have a few.
Okay.
So first off is Arshdeep Bains.
Arshdeep Bains, Vancouver Canucks.
Yes, that's one of my goals. And then Nana, of course.
Nice, yeah. Okay. Well, anything you want to say before we
end it?
Call it an episode?
Don't be racist and love the world, I guess.
Thank you for joining Gup Shup, understanding differences, the conversation, growing up biracial. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you.